Good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime News on TV1. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Ditmini De Silva. Starting off, I would like to wish a very happy Women's Day for all women. Let's start off with a look at the headlines.
Health workers launch strike over slashing of allowances. Hospital activities affected. Release funds to print ballots. Government printer requests in writing from the Finance Secretary. Ballots for postal voting to be handed over to the Department of Posts on the 21st. Many concessions can be expected in the future as the rupee strengthens, says Cabinet spokesman. International Women's Day celebrated worldwide today. Women for Rights organization protest against the high cost of living. Inmate who attempted to escape the Kegol prison shot dead.
Today is International Women's Day. The theme of this year's Women's Day is Digital, Innovation and Technology for Gender Equality. Women who give life to the world play crucial roles in their life for humanity. She who brings joy to a household as a child grows up to brighten the world with her grace. As a wife, she supports her family, all the while contributing to the development of her nation, acting as its lifeblood. Women directly support 29% of the country's GDP. Women have been at the vanguard of many spheres in Sri Lanka. Issuing a message on the occasion of International Women's Day, the President says that the government is committed to increasing women's participation in the management and political decision-making mechanisms. The message from the President also indicates that a comprehensive program has been implemented to increase the representation of women, not only in Parliament but also in the public sector as well as in the private sector. The President's message also stated that he is very happy to celebrate Women's Day this year under the theme, She is the Pride of the Nation, in a way that reflects the pride, dignity and strength of women despite the economic challenges the country is facing. The President said that the necessary arrangements have already been made to present an act on gender equality and women empowerment to Parliament.
Views were expressed in Parliament today on International Women's Day. The interim report compiled by the Select Committee of Parliament to look into and report to Parliament its recommendations to ensure gender equity and equality, with special emphasis on gender-based discrimination and violations of women's rights in Sri Lanka, was also presented to the Parliament.
We are delighted
that we are able to present this report in line with International Women's Day. Today is a special day because we are celebrating under the theme, She is the Pride of the Nation. And however, it shouldn't be limited to one day and should be the case for all 365 days. She cannot be the pride of the nation today and just another woman tomorrow. Today, the Women's Parliamentarians Caucus, the Parliament Select Committee and Gender Equality and the Ministry of Women Women and Child Affairs will present a policy framework today to empower women and ensure gender equality.
අපි හැමෝම පිළිගන්නවා මනුෂ්‍ය වර්ගයාගේ තිරසර පැවැත්ම රඳා පවතින්නේ සවි බල ගැන්වුණු කාන්තා.
We all accept that the sustenance of humankind depends on empowered women and their strength. 52% of Sri Lanka's population is women. 2.7 million women are employed at factories and other organizations. 3.3 million are housewives. 85% of employees at free trade zones are women. It is women that work hard in tea estates and sacrifice their lives in the Middle Eastern countries. The country's operations are led by women today, and they bear the burden of the country. There are millions of women in Sri Lanka that feed their families and only have a cup of water for themselves. The struggle to give women the place they deserve has been going on for a while. The world is changing and developing societies are working to give women an equal place. French President Emmanuel Macron appointed women for half of his cabinet. However, regretfully, female representation is at 5% in Sri Lanka's parliament. While many have a negative outlook towards the country's politics, it is important to strengthen female representation. Women have many challenges when going forward. However, when given the opportunity, many women have shown their talent despite the challenges.
හැබැයි බොහෝ තැන්වල අවස්ථාව ලැබුණු අවස්ථාවේ බහුතර කාන්තාවන් තමන්ගේ දක්ෂතාවය පෙන්වලා තිබෙනවා දහසක් අභියෝග මැද.
Meanwhile, as today marks International Women's Day, the Women for Rights organization held a protest against the increase in prices of goods, the tax burden and electricity tariffs. The group also urged the government to refrain from postponing the election during the protest held near Diathoyana. Members of the Health Professionals Trade Union Collective launched a 24-hour strike at 6:30 this morning based on several demands including salaries and allowances.
All trade unions in the health sector, apart from the doctors and nurses trade unions, have joined today's strike. As a result, operations at several hospitals across the island were disrupted. Patients who arrived at the Kurunegala Teaching Hospital were greatly inconvenienced. According to our correspondent, an administrative building of the hospital too had closed down. As a result, the hospital staff had to remain outside until the security officers intervened to resume operations at the respective sections. Operations at the OPD service at the Colombo National Hospital too were challenged as a result of the strike. Meanwhile, the issuance of medicines and operations at the Anuradhapura Teaching Hospital was stalled today. This was the situation at the Panadura Base Hospital earlier today. This was the situation at the Gampa District Hospital this morning. Operations at the OPD are being carried out without disruptions. The minor staff being absent has become problematic for patients at clinics. Doctors and nurses are seeing to patients. However, patients at clinics are unable to get medicine because pharmacists are on strike. The Professionals Trade Union Alliance has decided to launch a continuous strike action from tomorrow until the 15th of March. The alliance comprises of around 40 trade unions, including the University Teachers and Government Medical Officers Association.
The Election Commission says the secure envelopes containing the postal ballots for the local government elections will be handed over to the post officers on the 21st of March. Commissioner General of Elections Saman Sriratnayaka says that postal voting will take place in March. The Election Commission says that the extraordinary gazette regarding the holding of the local government elections on the 25th of April is due to be issued by the district returning officers. Meanwhile, the government printer says that they are to send a letter to the Secretary of the Ministry of Finance today requesting funds for the preliminary printing of ballot papers and other preparations for the election. The government printer said that it is estimated over 400 million rupees will be required for printing purposes. She further added that the printing of ballot papers will resume based on the response of the Finance Ministry. The government printer said that they will request the Inspector General of Police today to provide additional security for the printing of ballot papers. They also noted that ballot papers for postal voting have been printed in 17 districts so far.
Meanwhile, a meeting of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna was held last night, chaired by former President Mahinda Rajapaksa. The election and future measures of the SLPP were discussed during the meeting.
The SLPP is ready to face the election whenever it is held. We have to say this repeatedly because although the opposition is asking for elections, they know what their fate will be. We know that we don't have to hold rallies and put on a show. We have created an organized program at the grassroots level under the chairmanship of Mahinda Rajapaksa.
වැඩපිළිවෙලක් අපේ පක්ෂයේ මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ මැතිතුමාගේ නායකත්වයේ යටතේ අපි ඉටු කරලා තියෙනවා.
විවිධ අනිවාර්යෙන් තියන කියලා ජනාධිපතිතුමා පොඩ්ඩක් හිර කරන්න හැකියාව තියෙනවා. මොකක්ද තාත්තේ එහෙම කියන්න පුළුවන්ද බලපෑම?
නෑ මේ හිර කරන්න කිසිම හේතුවක් නෑ. එමෙ හිර කරන්න කිසිම හේතුවක් නෑ. මේ රටේ විධායකයනේ. විධායකයෙක්
විසිපත් කරගත්ත විධායකයෙක් නේ.
නෑ නෑ මෙහෙමයි මැතිවරණය.
We are ready to face the election if it is being held. The Election Commission must decide whether or not it will be held.
මැතිවරණය සඳහා වන සූදානම අපේ ඕනෑමටත් වඩා තියෙනවා. අපි මීට වඩා අසීරු වෙලාවක තමයි පහුගිය පළාත් පාලන මැතිවරණ ඉදිරිපත් වුනේ.
එක පැත්තකින් බලන්න ඕන අපි ඔක්කොම ආර්ථික වශයෙන් වැටිච්ච රටක දැන් යන්තම් උස්ම.
As a country that has collapsed economically, we are finally able to breathe a bit more again. At a time like this, as a party, we are working to strengthen the government and not to weaken it by protesting and to uplift the people. It is the duty of the Election Commission to announce the date and hold the election. However, the SLPP is ready to face the election at any time. We know we will emerge victorious in the relevant divisions and a majority of SLPP candidates will hold office in the local government institutions.
Members of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party and the Freedom People's Alliance met at the SLFP headquarters last evening.
The people's sovereignty is mentioned under the presidential election and the general election in the constitution. The local government election and provincial council election are not recognized as institutions with people's sovereignty in the constitution. If the people demanded the decision should be reached jointly by the election commission and the government by discussing it, it cannot be done by swaying the decision in both directions. The SLFP decision is not in agreement with postponing the election. However, if the government says it does not have funds, that problem also needs to be resolved. Samagi Jana Balawegya says that the government can no longer postpone the election. Every attempt is unsuccessful. They try to loot the elections. Voting is the people's right. If it's postponed, the government will face international pressure.
IMF Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva said on a tweet that she looks forward to presenting Sri Lanka's bailout proposal to the IMF Executive Board on the 20th of March. She also expressed her appreciation for the progress made by the Sri Lankan authorities in obtaining financial assurances from Sri Lanka's major creditors, including China, India and the Paris Club, and taking decisive policy actions. The International Monetary Fund said that after receiving the approval to provide financial support to Sri Lanka will have the opportunity to receive loans from other parties. They point out that Sri Lanka will receive support from other creditors, including the World Bank and the Asian Development Bank.
Vasantha Athakorila, Senior Professor of the Department of Economics and Statistics at the University of Peradeniya, said that the country cannot grow economically by obtaining loans continuously.
රටට අවශ්‍ය වෙන්නේ ණය ලබා ගැනීම සඳහා අවශ්‍ය වන්නා වූ ප්‍රතිසංස්කරණ රට තුල ක්‍රියාත්මක කිරීම.
What the country really needs is not reforms to get loans, but reforms to pay off the country's debt. Reforms should be implemented to uplift the local economy. If not, we will not be able to pay this loan. What the country needs is an economy that can do business with other countries instead of an economy that is continuously dependent on debt.
උත්පාදනය කොට ජීවත් වීමට හැකි නැත්නම් අනෙකුත් රටවල් සමග ගනුදෙනු කළ හැකි ආර්ථිකයක්.
Police and fire service officials have said at least 17 people have been killed and 140 injured in an explosion inside an office building in the Bangladeshi capital, Dhaka. The explosion shook the 4th and 5th floors of a 5-story building in Gulistan, a major hub for wholesale goods in the capital, shortly before 5 p.m. local time on Tuesday. Authorities could not immediately provide the reason behind the huge explosion in the bustling commercial area. According to the local police inspector, at least 17 people have died, including 2 women. Police said more than 140 had been brought to the Dhaka Medical College Hospital. Foreign media quoted the hospital director saying that more than 112 people were treated for head wounds, fractures and other injuries at DMCH. He said some injured people were also sent to other hospitals in the city. A fire services spokesperson said no fire broke out in the building, but more than 150 firefighters were at the site to assist in rescue efforts. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has warned that gender equality is vanishing before our eyes and that it is now 300 years away. According to estimates from UN Women, the organization that deals with empowerment of women. The report was presented on Monday to the UN Human Rights Council in Geneva. Addressing the Commission on the Status of Women on Monday ahead of International Women's Day, Guterres pointed to many of the world's nations regressing on reproductive rights, maternal mortality, forced early marriages, being deprived of education. Guterres named several countries, including Afghanistan, where he said women have been erased from public life, and called for urgent collective action worldwide. Guterres declared that, quote, centuries of patriarchy, discrimination and harmful stereotypes have created a huge gender gap in science and technology. Global frameworks are not working for the world's women and girls. They need to change, unquote. Millions of Indians are celebrating Holi, the festival of colors, at home and around the world. The festival, which marks the last full moon day of the lunar month, celebrates the beginning of spring and the victory of good over evil. People celebrate this day by smearing bright colors on friends and family, offering prayers and burning a bonfire to symbolically destroy the bad so that the good can triumph. The festival is based on a Hindu legend and has a huge cultural significance in India. People see the festival as symbolizing new beginnings and as a time to mend relationships and start afresh. Huge processions are held in several parts of India to mark the festival. People dance and sing and hold sumptuous feasts with traditional fare. Schools are shut as children and adults devote the day to colorful celebrations. That's a wrap of our lunchtime news. Join us again at 1:30 on our hourly news bulletin.